How the Anima and Animus possess the chakras on today's Obleron Spirituality. Greetings everyone, I am Obleron, Lord of the Underworld, and consort to the most lovely Hecate. Thank you for joining me on today's episode, where we are going to learn how the shadow aspects of our unconscious mind, the Anima and the Animus, can possess the chakras, and how we can integrate the shadow to become the highest and best versions of ourselves. So the Anima and Animus both come from the psychology of Carl Jung, and the Anima is essentially the unconscious woman that exists in every man, and the Animus is the unconscious man that exists within every woman. And according to the psychology of Carl Jung, how we are aware of the Anima and Animus has a huge impact on how we behave in our lives. If we are unaware of our unconscious mind, if we are unaware of the shadow of our psyche, we have a tendency to act from our unconscious mind without even being aware of it. And as they say, it is not until we bring light to the unconscious mind that we become free of our unconscious patterns. So today I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to show you how the Anima and Animus actually can possess the chakras, in fact very specific chakras, and those can also be cues as to whether or not we have integrated our shadow. So first we're going to start off with the Anima, or the unconscious woman in every man. Now, the Anima represents the feminine aspect of a man's psyche, and it encompasses his emotional, intuitive, and receptive qualities. She can be considered the mysterious and elusive counterpart to the masculine identity, and she influences his relationships, his creativity, and his overall sense of wholeness. And in many ways, the Anima is key to a man's emotional intelligence and his sensitivity and his capacity for developing deep and meaningful connections to others. An unintegrated Anima can lead a man to emotional numbness. It can cause a man to struggle with intimacy as well as with forming deep connections with others. She also has the ability to provoke irrational mood swings as the suppressed emotions begin to surface unexpectedly. Also, the unintegrated Anima can cause a man to develop destructive tendencies such as addictions or self-sabotage as attempts to cope with these unacknowledged feelings. She can also inspire obsessive behaviors, including an unhealthy fixation on individuals or desires. Now, from what I've observed, the unintegrated Anima can also corrupt the upper three chakras, and those are what I call the feminine chakras. Now, there is no universal acceptance as to which chakras are masculine or feminine, but for the purpose of this video and for the purpose of what the Anima affects, I'll call the upper three chakras the feminine chakras. Now, that's the crown chakra, that is the third eye chakra, and the throat chakra. And if you go back and watch 7 chakras, 7 sins, and 7 planes of existence, I associate one of the 7 deadly sins to each of the chakras. So the crown chakra can be corrupted by the sin of pride. The third eye chakra can be corrupted by the sin of wrath, and the throat chakra can be corrupted by the sin of sloth. And an unintegrated Anima can lead to the corruption of all of these 3 chakras. The corruption can lead to an inflation of the ego, which results in pride as the individual becomes overly identified with their masculine persona. The buildup of repressed emotions can lead to the sin of wrath, as well as sloth when the anima's emotional depths remain unexplored. And this is what we're seeing affecting a lot of men in modern society. We have seen a lot of men leave the workforce. We have seen a lot of men very depressed, very angry, and we have seen a lot of men essentially turn to things which sort of amplify their egos, but not necessarily produce results to better their lives. And so, again, this all is related to the unintegrated anima. Now let's move on to women for a little bit, and let's talk about the animus. So the animus represents the masculine aspect of a woman's psyche. It encompasses her rational, analytical, and assertive qualities. The animus is the hidden counterpart to her conscious feminine identity, and it influences her independence, her self-reliance, and her ability to set boundaries. So the unintegrated animus in a woman can lead to overly critical self-talk and perfectionism. It can cause a woman to be excessively hard on herself. The unintegrated animus can also manifest as a tendency to attract dominating or controlling partners. And these partners have a tendency to reflect her own unresolved masculine energies. So an unintegrated animus can also cause a woman to struggle with assertiveness and setting healthy boundaries. And this can lead to feelings of powerlessness and resentment. Additionally, she may experience emotional instability and mood swings or irritability due to the suppressed masculine energies. Now, the unintegrated animus can lead to the corruption of a woman's lower three masculine chakras. And these chakras are the stomach chakra, the sacral chakra, and the root chakra. And the sins of these chakras are gluttony, lust, and greed. The corruption of these chakras can lead to a distortion in a woman's natural ability to be nurturing and receptive, and it can cause her to seek external validation and satisfaction rather than inner fulfillment. And we are seeing a lot of this in the modern society with women becoming more hypergamous, as well as seeing examples of promiscuity on the rise as well. So when it comes to integration of the anima, it requires a man to acknowledge and explore his emotional, intuitive, and receptive qualities. One approach is to engage in creative activities that tap into his emotional depths, such as writing, painting, music, and any one of the creative arts that allows him to express his emotions. He can also benefit from developing meaningful relationships with women who embodies the qualities that he seeks to integrate within himself. And additionally, by embracing his vulnerabilities and allowing himself to be receptive and open, it can help him to connect with his anima on a deeper level. In integrating the animus, it involves a woman to embrace her rational, analytical, and assertive qualities. And this can be achieved by engaging in intellectual pursuits, setting clear boundaries, and taking charge of her own decisions. Another way to connect with her animus would be to develop a stronger sense of self-reliance and independence as well. And by recognizing and valuing her inner masculine energies, she can cultivate confidence, assertiveness, and a greater sense of authority in her life. So generally speaking, to integrate the anima and animus, it involves embodying the qualities of the opposite sex without losing our inherent identities. And also by combining it with the knowledge of which chakras they possess, it can easily let us know when we are falling victims to our anima or animus. So again, for men, if you find yourself becoming a little too proud, a little too wrathful or angry, and you're falling into sloth, well, try and get in touch with your feminine side. See what are the aspects of your feminine side that you're ignoring. And for women, if you start to find yourself falling into gluttony, lust, or greed, well, ask yourself, what are those masculine characteristics that you have not identified within yourself? So I hope that helps. I know I've touched upon these concepts very briefly, and if you want me to elaborate and go more in depth, then let me know, and I'll probably make another video on this topic in the future. Thanks again for joining me on this video, and for all of your continued support. If you've resonated with this message, then let me know by leaving a comment or by liking and subscribing. And now we shall close with a chant of Oberon. Amde sote, amde Oberon, amde sote, amde Oberon.